I'm Kevin Randich. I'm a wastewater operations supervisor for Pierce County, and I work here at the Chambers Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant. This facility treats approximately 19 million gallons of wastewater a day, which comes out to about 31 Olympic-sized swimming pools. On a day-to-day basis, there's approximately 50 or so people that work here. So it really does kind of take a village to keep a place like this going.
The treatment process starts at the headworks, where all the wastewater enters and large debris is removed.
These are our screens where we filter out rags and debris and trash so it doesn't damage equipment and clog up pipes downstream. We see all sorts of stuff. I mean, we've lots of like wet wipes and toilet paper and stuff like that, but we've seen some action figures that kids have flushed down the toilets. We've seen AirPods that we have here.
After headworks, the amount of wastewater coming into the plant is measured.
This meter right here shows that we have about 14 million gallons of untreated wastewater entering our facility. We need to measure the wastewater so we know exactly how much is coming in, so we can measure how much we remove throughout each part of the system and how much equipment we need to have online.
Next up, the primary clarifiers. These large tanks slow down the flow so heavier solids sink to the bottom and oils and grease float to the top.
These tanks are covered for odor control. We have people at the golf course and down hanging out at the park, and then people living around this facility, and we try to be good neighbors. This is an offline primary clarifier where you can see the flights, where it will move the solids into a trough and then scrape the fats, oils, and grease from the top of the clarifier. This is the last step of the mechanical process before we move into the biological processes.
From there, the wastewater heads into the aeration basins. This step is where biology takes over.
So there's soluble, like dissolved solids that are still in the wastewater, and small solids we call suspended solids, and we use bacteria to consume and remove those. At the bottom of these basins, there's something called fine air diffusers that are pumping very small bubbles into this tank for the aerobic bacteria to consume. So the processes that are happening in the aeration basins are happening on a microscopic level, absolutely invisible to the human eye. This process needs a certain amount of oxygen for the aerobic bacteria to do their job.
After aeration, secondary clarifiers help clean the water by letting the bacteria and remaining solids settle out.
From the aeration basin, the wastewater comes up through the center of this tank and is dispersed out, where it is then given time to settle out. The bacteria is literally sinking to the bottom, where we pump it off and send it back to the aeration basin. The sprayers are knocking down any small particles that are sitting on the surface that could flow over to the UVs, and also acting as a deterrent for birds. The water leaving these secondary clarifiers is probably similar to the water in a river or a lake.
The final step is UV disinfection, which uses light to treat the water before it flows to the sound.
It's very similar to a tanning bed. This process uses ultraviolet lights to destroy any remaining viruses or pathogens before it heads out to the sound. All the water's flowing right through here, and then on the back side of this wall, we'll see it as it leaves and goes to the sound. That is not anything that people can see. It's coming up off the bottom of the sound out there.
All the solids removed during treatment are thickened for future handling.
The stuff that had settled out to the bottom of the primary clarifiers, we collect that and then mix it with the bacteria that we're not reusing in our aeration basins, combine them, and then dewater them here with these rotary drum thickeners. So the more amount of water we can get rid of, the more amount of just solids we can break down.
From thickening, the solids move into the digester, which uses bacteria and heat to further reduce the solids.
Our digesters are a lot like a human stomach. They break down the organics in the absence of oxygen with bacteria called anaerobic bacteria, creating a biogas. Just like the human body, we maintain each one of these digesters at 98.5 degrees.
Next, the solids are dewatered one last time before leaving Chambers Creek.
So after the digesters, our sludge comes over to our fertilizer manufacturing facility, where it's processed and then sent out for further use.
And finally, because the wastewater is high in ammonia at this point, it takes a detour for its own treatment before it heads back to the aeration basins.
So this Anammox side stream process helps limit the nitrogen loading leaving this facility going out to the Puget Sound.
The operations control room is the plant's nerve center. From here, operators can monitor every piece of equipment in the facility.
This facility is manned 24 hours a day. They're monitoring all of the equipment, all the pumps, all the processes. They're monitoring oxygen levels. They're monitoring pHs throughout the whole facility. The most interesting thing about this room is the ability for the operators to lay eyes on the entire facility without going out and physically looking at each piece of equipment.
Beneath the entire plant is the utilidor, an underground tunnel filled with pipes and equipment that keep everything connected.
This facility is just as large underground as it is above ground. We have our equipment, like our pumps and our pipe work, which we keep out of the weather and makes it easier for maintenance to work on. Right now, we're probably about 35, 40 feet underground. You can basically go from primaries all the way through the aeration basins, and there is equipment exposed underground.
Quality checks happen throughout the treatment process, with a state-certified lab keeping a close eye on results.
Throughout the different points at the treatment plant, we take samples where we test them here in our laboratory. We do that to test the efficiency of our various processes and report to the state regulators. If the lab notices something off that's out of the ordinary, they will let myself or the operations team know, and then we will try to make adjustments within the treatment facility.
I'm very proud to work in wastewater. It's a great career, and I think that if more people understood the processes and different types of careers that are in it, more people would be interested in joining. I like the idea that I do something that's very important, that is kind of out of sight, out of mind, and that a lot of people don't think about. That gives me a lot of pride.